Alright, hi everyone. I tried to do Facebook Live earlier, but chaos keeps ensuing at my house, so that didn't happen. But I wanted to answer a question I got messaged. And my last video might have been a little overwhelming because it used a lot of Stampin' Up! Products. And they wanted to know, hey, I really want to get stamping, but it's a little costly to start up and do the cards exactly how you're doing them, and they wanted to know what my suggestion was. So I'm going to show you tonight. My suggestion was that you start off simple, and sometimes it can be overwhelming to get like the right paper, what colors to choose. And so if you're just starting out stamping, one of the best options is the note cards. Now, note cards are not the standard size of the regular cards that I make, but it's a great alternative if you're just starting. It's also great to use up scraps. I tend to not save my scrap paper. I have a very limited craft space, so I use note cards to use up the scraps while I'm making the card, and then anything else usually gets tossed, which I know is horrifying some of you right now. So I wanted to show you. I'm going to modify this card a little tonight to show you how to make it. But this card is made with just paper, a stamp set, and some ink. Okay, and maybe a few other little tidbits here. So we're going to make this. Now I am going to alter this because this was a scrap that I had. So I used this note card scrap. I didn't end up using this one. So I used it on this card, but I'm going to show you how you don't need to have die cuts. Starting die cutting can be a little bit overwhelming, and nobody wants you to be overwhelmed. Stamping actually is a very good stress reliever for me. What I love is I'm very crafty, but a lot of times I don't get to finish a craft, and what I love about stamping is that when I am done, I am done. Like, you don't get up and walk away. It doesn't take as long. It's not a 3-day, 3-month, 1-year process. So we're going to start out today with one of the basic note cards. And the great thing about the note card set, you get 20 of them in a pack, and they come with their envelopes. So everything's already, everything's already cut. All you gotta do is fold the note card in half. So last time I talked about this blender pen. Now you don't necessarily have to have this blender pen. I'm just showing you because on this particular card I used it for a little background pop, but you could also use paper to make this other part pop out. But what I'm using is the Stampin' Up! Daffodil ink, and all I'm doing, I'm using that brush side again, and I'm doing exactly, you're just gonna, I hate to say scribble, but you're gonna scribble it on. I probably should have inked up my pad a little more. And you can also do this with our blending pens, markers. I love those, but I don't have yellow for some reason, and every time I go to order I forget, so I need to make a note to order the yellow, because I use a lot of yellow because it's my mom's favorite color, so I use it in a lot of things. It makes me think of her. Okay, so that's simple. Done. Alright, now I am going to take, these are literally scraps from another card that I made, and all it is from the Stampin' Up! Best Dressed paper. So a lot of times in the catalog you can see the Best Dressed paper. It's 6x6. You get 48 sheets, and I'm using this particular one. You can't really see it that great, but you know, you could do this with any of the cards. You can cut pieces out to make your own card, and I'm going to show you another example after I'm done with this card. But what I did is I cut out the flowers, and I really wanted them to pop, so what I've done is I've cut these out. Now if you notice on this card, I don't know if you can really tell, it's 3-dimensional. Not 3-dimensional, it's 2-dimensional. It's popping. But I wanted it to pop up a little so it has a little more dimension. So, so what I did is I cut the greenery off. So don't have a heart attack. I'm going to cut the greenery off with my snips here. I'm still going to use it. I'm just going to use it differently. I like my cards to look you know, special. And I really love that Stampin' Dimensionals kind of gives me that. So I'm going to cut that piece off and just get rid of it. And I don't want you to be overwhelmed with like die cutting. You don't have to have die cuts to make a great card. I think I thought that in the beginning, and the truth is I don't use my die cut machine very often because it's big and it's bulky. So I basically only use it for my card classes. So I cut a little bit off. I'm going to cut another little bit. I want to cut that one off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my snail adhesive. A lot of people ask me, why do you only use that because you sell Stampin' Up? And I'm like, no, I used it before I ever sold it. I really love it because I love something that's easy. Remember, I want to get this project done beforehand. And this makes it easy and I don't have to wait for glue to dry. Now, sometimes I use a glue called Tombow that Stampin' Up carries, but it gets super sticky. But if you're not in a hurry and you can lay a bunch out, you can use that as well. It's a little more cost effective. I'm going to put this one over here. Remember, these don't have to be perfect. We're going to put this card together and make it work. Okay, so as you can see, I have that down. And I don't know if I like it there. In fact, I don't think I like this flower. I cut out a bunch, so I think I'm going to snip this little one off. But you'll also notice that I have some yellow ones on this card, and they're popped up from this, the leaves, but they're not popped up above this, and this is because I wanted them behind. And this again I cut out from some scrap paper. I had some scraps, so I cut the flowers out and I was like, I'm going to use those. So what I'm going to do here is all I'm doing here is I'm taking mini dimensionals and I'm just putting one on, and I'm just kind of eyeballing where I kind of want them. They are not the main focus, but I wanted them to stand out just a little so they look good. Okay. All right. So now you may be wondering, how am I going to make these like really, really stand out? And I will actually show you. Yeah, I think I'm going to like that placement a lot. I'm going to put these on last, so some of you are going to like freak out here just for a minute. And I'm going to do this bottom part. Now again, I'm just using my scraps. I have some scraps here. And normally I would throw these away, so if I don't use them on the card I'm making, I go ahead and I toss them. So someone told me I should save them all in a box, so I want to show you the winter ones I saved in a box. I got them all filled. I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I'm probably going to give them to somebody. But I'm going to layer this on here like that. It's wider than the last one, so I'm going to take my little trimmer. And if you're wondering where I got this trimmer, it is Stampin' Up. It is only available to new demonstrators. It's brand new. It just came out with the Celebration catalog. But if you sign up to sell Stampin' Up, you can get it for free. And you also get a pack of paper and a free stamp set. And so it's a really good deal. Plus, what I love about the company is when you sign up, you get to pick your own product. So if you don't want die cuts, you don't have to buy die cuts. If you just want a certain color of paper, you can buy a certain color of paper. So I'm just going to trim a little off here and get that out of the way. See, and that made another little scrap I can use. So I'm actually, and I am going to layer over the leaves of this a little because I'm okay with that. And I'm not even going to trim it off. That's probably going to horrify some people. I'm not even going to trim it off because what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the thing across on my card, not on the paper. This saves me a step, believe it or not. So what I'm doing is I am lining this up where I want it. I'm going to go under that. I'm going to get that a little more even. And then I'm just going to take my snips, flip it over, line it up, cut. And then I just created another set. And I'm going to do the same thing here. This was actually the paper from where I cut these out. But it has this pretty polka dot green. And as you can see when I cut it out, it's all wonky. I'm actually okay with that. But if you're not, you can always straighten it out, because you're not really going to be able to tell once I put the other part down. And this one, same thing. I'm going to go just like that. People are probably horrified I don't measure. Done. And then if you want, you can add another piece. Now this piece I would actually kind of measure and cut off the end. But I'm going to cheat it. I'm not even going to get my trimmer out. If you want to do that piece. I kind of almost like it without, but since I did it in the other one, I feel like I should do it on this one. Now this one because it's skinnier, I'm going to put it on that glue. And that's going to leave a little bit of residue on there, but I'm okay with that. And then I'm going to put this down. And sometimes when you get a little residue on there, all you gotta do is rub. And it's kind of like rubber cement the way it works. And you can actually rub it right off. So easy come, easy go. Now, if you remember this one, I cut out with a die cut, but I didn't want to do that. If you don't want to have to buy die cuts, or you don't have a die cutting machine and you're new to stamping, you don't have to have one. So I wanted to do something, but I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. And so whenever I don't know what to do, I either do a little mini banner, or I put it on the opposite end. So on this one, I kind of want to put it on this side, just because of how it fits. So sometimes what I'll do is I'm just going to make a little, and you can get out a ruler and draw a little triangle if you want. It doesn't have to be perfect. I think that was the hardest thing for me in the beginning, is that I wanted it to be perfect, and no card was ever perfect. Then I'd give them away and people would love them, and I was like, what? It's not perfect. So, and as you can see, all I did was fold that over. So I kind of made my own little banner, if I can pick it up. So I made my own little banner. It's kind of just a little bit sassy looking, and I love that, but I do want it to pop up. So I'm going to have it pop up. And you can put 2 on there if you want, like 2 deep. I'll show you here. And I'm going to have it just like this, because that's cute. And you don't have to, if you don't want it there, you can put it on the other side, but I think I'm just going to change it up. And I'm actually going to put my flower over it. All right, so now I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to put these flowers on, and you're going to see how they overlap and how it works. Okay, first I got to figure out how I want to position these. I want them to overlap, so I'm going to have them like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I am going to put on my dimensionals, and I don't know why I didn't grab my larger dimensionals for this instead of my tiny ones. I'm going to peel all of the little thingies off, the little backings, which is really hard for me to do for some reason. And then I'm going to stack another dimensional right on top of it. So I hope you see that I stacked just another dimensional right on top. This is going to make it thicker. Now, I am going to warn you, when you start to add dimensionals, buttons, pearls, rhinestones, sometimes you have to pay more in postage. Not because it's heavy, it's because it's not machinable. And if you go to the post office, they'll give you, you can ask for the non-mailable stamps, and they're super cheap. I just get a book of them, and then I just put them, I just don't even mess with it. That way they're already done. And I'm going to put that one there. Sometimes sending someone a really nice looking card is worth the extra postage. I love getting cards in the mail. I even send them to strangers sometimes. You see things on Facebook or on the news, kids wanting cards, or elderly person losing somebody. I'll send them a card. I don't even know them, but I know it's going to brighten their day because I've been there. And then I'm going to position this one, and boom. And your card, oh, I'm sticking a little. Your card's done. And it's as you can see, it's a little different, but that's okay. And you can always reposition a little, but I'm pretty happy with it. So you can always use note cards to try and make things a little more affordable, and it's a good place to start, and it's a great way to use up scraps. I want to show you what I did earlier. Earlier I made this card. I'm currently obsessed with this stamp set, which you probably have already figured out since I already did one video. It's the Dress to Impress stamp set, and I made this card earlier. But it also left me, I made this banner, and I had a little scrap here, which I used on the note card. But then I also went and made this note card afterwards. And I cut out all the little things, and I used dimensionals, and I made it look like a little clutch, and I used, you know, just some things I had already. And I actually like the note card better than the card. I was like, oh, how did I do that? I made it. So sometimes that happens where you have like both, and you're like, oh. So I used up the scraps that I had from a previous card, the scraps from this card, and made this card. So I got 2 cards, made it pretty quick. Now, if I will post in the comments below the items I used, so that if you would like to order them, you can. If you do want to order them, this is the hostess code you're going to need to use. It'll be available up and running for a few weeks, and then it'll switch, of course, to something else. I do ask that you please share my video. Helps just get some scrappers and stampers working on it. And I would love you to just give a shout out to somebody by making them a special card. Tell me who you sent a special card to, or I love stuff like that. So I'll be coming next week with my card class, and we're going to be making, they're going to be masculine cards. That's probably one of the #1 requests next to kids' birthday cards I get. So we're going to make some masculine cards in my next video. So thanks for joining. Have a great week.